And welcome to the second hour of Saturday Report. I am Rita Cosby. A swift and severe response. That's Vice President Kamala Harris's promise should Russia invade Ukraine. She made those statements just a little bit ago. This, as Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin echoed yesterday's comments from President Biden, saying that Russia is poised to strike. We will be bringing you live updates both on the ground in Ukraine and from our panel of experts. But first, let's check in with our Moscow correspondent, Julia Chapman. She is live now in Moscow. Julia, Russia looks like it's conducting large-scale nuclear drills today. President Putin overseeing those. What is the latest that you're hearing? And are the drumbeats of war literally on the horizon there?
Today's drills were strategic deterrence exercises that were only announced yesterday, but the Ministry of Defense here in Moscow says they were long planned. And yes, they were overseen by President Vladimir Putin himself and his Belarusian counterpart, who was visiting Moscow over the last couple of days. These drills today involved the launch of a number of nuclear-capable missiles, ballistic, cruise, and hypersonic at distances of some several thousand miles. And certainly it comes amid a very large buildup of Russian troops along the Ukrainian border in Belarus itself, surrounding Ukraine, much to the fear of many Western officials. There are also, of course, huge exercises ongoing around all of the different bodies of water that Russia is adjacent to. So certainly a very high level of military preparedness, but Russian officials maintain that they still have no plans to invade Ukraine.
And Julia, you say they have no plans, but yet the satellite imagery from America and from what we're hearing from throughout the globe, essentially, is that there are movements, so much so that we're seeing it's about 190,000 U.S. troops, are basically flanked almost all the way around, essentially around Ukraine. What is basically the sense there? Is there a sense that this is, just smoke and mirrors? He's saying one thing, but his actions are clearly saying something else. That's what the world tends to believe.
That's certainly true, and the situation does seem to be moving in a different direction every day. Earlier in the week, there were signs that Russian officials were more prepared to carry out dialogue. The temperature seemed to be turned down somewhat. And then in the last couple of days, it seems to have gone back in the opposite direction. We've been hearing warnings from President Joe Biden, Secretary of State Antony Blinken, that there could be a false flag operation in eastern Ukraine. And in the last couple of days, there have certainly been more incidents of violence in eastern Ukraine, where, of course, there has already been a war going on between separatists and the military for nearly 8 years. And now we're also hearing that the leaders of those two separatist regions are evacuating civilians. They are being moved here to Russia and being welcomed with open arms by Russian officials. So there are, of course, huge concerns now that there could be a pretext being looked for an invasion.
Well, Julia Chapman, please keep us posted. Thank you very much. And as Julia was saying, they were saying about 10,000 individuals have evacuated, mostly women and children, in that eastern part, in the Donbas region, where the Russian separatists are. Lots of developments happening. And joining us now is Pennsylvania Congressman Guy Reschenthaler. Congressman, thank you very much for being with us. You are a U.S. Navy veteran. I know that you were over there in Iraq. You know what battle is like. What's your reaction so far? In the last few hours, we've heard from Vice President Kamala Harris basically saying it is a unified front. There will be swift, severe sanctions, is what she's saying. She's maintaining that. No U.S. troops in Ukraine. Is that going to do anything to dissuade Vladimir Putin?
We should have the sanctions right now, Rita. Thanks for having me on. As always, please call me Guy. But getting back to this, we are not in the driver's seat. We're not being proactive on the international stage. Biden's weakness and his vacillation is inviting this aggression. So if we say, like Kamala Harris is saying, like Jen Psaki was saying yesterday, that we'll take steps after the invasion of Ukraine, it will be too late. We need to act right now. I'm a co-sponsor of Michael McCall. He's the ranking member on Foreign Affairs. It's the GUARD Act. It would put sanctions on the Nord Stream 2 pipeline today. There's also another bill just targeted at Putin and also taking the Russians out of the SWIFT banking system, which would cripple their banking industry. We could do that. We could also put sanctions on Putin, his family, and the oligarchs that are closest to him to cause real economic pain to them immediately. And then when the Russians back off the border, when they stop shelling Ukraine, then we can lift the sanction. But I don't understand why we're saying if this happens, we'll then act. We should be acting right now. And this isn't just about Ukraine, Rita. This is about the entire international scene. The people that are watching this most closely right now are those in Taiwan, those living in a free and democratic nation, looking at the CCP right across the strait, the CCP looking at how the United States is being feckless and weak. That's going to invite China to try to invade Taiwan. This could also cause Iran and North Korea to act up as well. So this has ramifications beyond Ukraine. And let me just finish on this. For all the Americans that say, what does this have to do with me? First off, the United States should be respected abroad. But second off, this could impact your pocketbook. There are some projections that if there's a long, protracted engagement between Russia and Ukraine, gas prices could hit $6 or $7 a gallon this summer. So there could be economic pain coming to everyday Americans, which will just fuel inflation. It will also hurt individuals that have to, for example, drive to work, that are on a fixed income, et cetera. So this affects everybody, both internationally and domestically.
Yeah, big time. And we're already seeing it at the pump already. And they're talking about maybe as high as $7 a gallon. That's enormous. I have a whole bunch of questions for you. First off, I got to ask you about Vice President Harris. To go back to that, I am thinking, how is this woman going to be solving basically world diplomacy? This is an unbelievably pivotal moment, as you understand all too well. And yet she hasn't been able to protect our southern border, and she's now supposed to protect basically Ukraine's borders. Explain how effective you think she will or won't be.
It's almost insulting to Europe and the world that we would send Kamala Harris, someone clearly not up for this task, to Europe on the brink of what could be a war between Ukraine and Russia. It's that insulting because Kamala Harris has proven herself completely weak and ineffective with our own border. Remember, it was months ago that she went into Central America and blamed climate change on causing the crisis at our southern border. Completely disconnected with reality, completely oblivious to the real facts on the ground, both on our own southern border. And now we're expecting her to instill some kind of resolve with the Ukrainians. I applaud the effort, but at the same time, the hypocrisy is incredibly rich coming from Kamala Harris. What the Ukrainians and our allies really need is not tough talk by a woman who's not stood behind her tough words before. They need anti-tank missiles. They need anti-aircraft capabilities. They need materiel to wage guerrilla war. They need whatever they need to blunt an attack. The rhetoric needs to stop, and we need to put arms in the lethal aid in the hands of the Ukrainians to prep for this invasion.
Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, President Zelensky expected to speak at any moment in Munich, pleading with the world, give us that kind of weaponry that you're talking about, the air defenses. I mean, slew of things that they desperately, desperately need. I want to talk about the policy that sort of got us to this point, because I think about they were so caught up on climate change. And as you know, day one, President Biden cancels Keystone Pipeline. OK, he comes in. And now we're at the position where we were with energy independence under President Trump to where we're actually importing Russian oil. I mean, that's astounding. And you talked about Nord Stream. By the way, my father's Polish, so I know all too well, the whole issue with the Nord Stream pipeline and everything that's happening there. And the fact that he sort of allowed it to go forward, now putting the pause on it, so he claims. It's been so confusing. Had he stayed with this energy independence, we would have had some leverage. We've lost that.
Yes. So energy independence for the United States isn't only good for American consumers, American industry, manufacturing, et cetera. It's very good for us on the international stage. Think about that. If we had not shut down the Keystone XL pipeline, had we not done massive fracking bans across the United States on federal land, we would be sending liquefied natural gas to Germany, to Poland, to our allies in Central Europe, and they would not be dependent on Russia for their natural gas. Simultaneously with the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, which brings in energy from Russia into Germany, the Germans would not be dependent on Russia for that. So Joe Biden, by declaring war on American energy from day one, literally day number one, remember, he shut down the Keystone XL pipeline, and by allowing the Russians to take advantage of their energy resources, he created this environment where Europe is now dependent, Western Europe is now largely dependent on Russia for their energy rather than the United States. Also, his fecklessness in Afghanistan invited this as well, because Putin was watching, Iran was watching, the CCP was watching, when we basically ceded an entire country to the Taliban after we had 0 American fatalities for the 18 months preceding the disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan. That weakness, like I'm saying with Ukraine, there's ramifications beyond just that particular country. In Afghanistan, it's more, it's about the way we look and about the weakness, the vacuum that we leave, and that being filled by Russia, the Chinese Communist Party, et cetera. So Joe Biden created this mess. It's like he set your house on fire, yet he comes to the scene and saying, "Hey, I can get you a fire extinguisher. Thank me for that." It's a little bit rich coming from Biden, who again created the environment for which the Russians now feel they can move on Ukraine.
Yeah, it is really insane, and it is very concerning. And thinking that now we have Kamala Harris over there who can't protect our border, trying to protect basically the world's borders right now, and so much hanging on in the balance. Congressman, thank you very much. We really appreciate you being with us on such an important day. Thank you.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, we're real news for real people.